Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ben DeBoer, and I will be your project executive for the upcoming Hyatt Regency Hotel here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Before I begin, I'd like to introduce a quote that has shaped how we plan to approach this project, as well as how it's reshaped our vision for what this project will look like. That is, we're not in the business of creating rooms. We're in the business of creating experiences. That is our goal with this project, to deliver an unparalleled experience for not only our guests, but you as well. So how do we plan to deliver such an exceptional experience? That's what we'll be talking about today. Beginning first with who we are as Alta Construction, then we'll look at our team, our price proposal, site logistics, phasing, schedule, quality, and finally, and most importantly, safety for our team. Now, beginning first with our company, we were founded 60 years ago in San Diego, California. 15 years ago, we opened up an office here in Salt Lake City, Utah, which has given us exceptional trade partner relationships and experience in the area. Over the past 10 years, we've delivered $1.6 billion worth of hospitality projects, completing 37 jobs, delivering to 12 flagships. Now, moving on to this specific project. Given that this project will be built in Salt Lake City, a dense urban area, there are several challenges that we face for both schedule and logistics that we need to approach throughout this project to make sure we're managing from the front end. So how do we do that? We've decided to split this project up into two projects. The first being the podium, which provides the ballrooms in floors 1 through 6, as well as the first 6 floors of the tower. Our second project will be the tower from floor 7 all the way up to 25, featuring all of our guest rooms. Now, splitting this project up into two projects allows for several distinct advantages. The first being that we can split our team up into two separate teams. The first will service the ballroom and the second will service the tower. This allows us to drive a more efficient schedule, lower our costs and general conditions, and finally deliver an exceptional level of quality. The second distinct advantage is that we can split our buyout in between the two projects so that we can split up scopes into two different trade partners. That way we can reduce the impact of trade shortages and again, drive a more efficient schedule. Now that I've introduced our company and our project, I'd like to turn it over to my team to introduce themselves and their roles at Alta.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jackson Brandeis. I'm a project manager here at Alta Construction. I will be handling pay applications, change orders, and site logistics.
Hi, my name is Jeremiah Varner. I'm the site superintendent of this project. I'll be dealing with the overall project schedule as well as the trade coordination.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hector Hernandez. I will be a pre-construction director on this project. I will oversee the estimate as well as all pre-construction relationships throughout the project. Now, to get into our price proposal, we have broken out this job into three different sections. One being the hotel, second being the parking garage, and third, the site development. The hotel itself will be $273 million, which is roughly 95% of the total GMP, that GMP being $291.5 million. Our cost per key will be $410,000, and our cost per parking stall will be around $340,000. Now, to get into our indirect cost, we've based this off of historical data from the last 10 years on all the hospitality projects that we've done in the Southwest to give you guys these competitive rates that you see in front of you. And for this project, we've been given a self-performed scope of work goal of 7%. I've worked together with Jackson and the project management team, and we've determined that the most beneficial scope of work is going to be the concrete scope of work for this, from both an estimate standpoint and a project management standpoint. For the cost, that would be roughly 11%, which will be around $35.8 million out of that $291 million GMP. I'll hand it over to Jackson to discuss project management.
Thank you, Hector. So as he mentioned, we have elected to self-perform concrete for this project. There are going to be two major advantages to that. The first is that we have a better control over the schedule, and the second is that we have better control over the quality. Concrete is what drives the schedule of a construction project, and we believe that if our managers, who are experts in this project, can have their hands directly on the project, that we will have the best possible outcome. I will now start talking about logistics. The first we will talk about is our traffic and pedestrian plan. Being in downtown Salt Lake City, there is a lot of people and a lot of cars moving every day. We have decided that it is best to close down the sidewalk as well as 2 lanes of traffic on the West Temple Street. We will also be closing the sidewalk on the south of the project. This is for protecting the public as much as possible. There's a great advantage to closing these roads though, and that is for our delivery route. Our trucks will be entering on the north side of the project through our north gate. They'll be driving south and being unloaded by our tower cranes. They will then exit the site out of the south gate. They don't have to turn. They can drive straight in and straight out. There will also be a secondary delivery route in the southeast corner, represented by the green gates. They will pull in, be unloaded, and exit out of the main gate of the project. Now moving on to crane logistics. We have elected to have 2 tower cranes in this project. The first one, the north tower crane, is represented by the blue dot. This is going to be the tallest crane, and it'll have the farthest reach, and it'll go up first. The secondary tower crane is the south tower crane, represented by the orange dot, and it'll come in during phase 3. Finally, we need a crawler crane to erect all the structural steel of the ballroom. This crawler crane was a challenge because there is a basement which it will have to work over during a duration of the project. To remedy this, we have decided to put a lot of reshoring in the basement, as well as 2 large structural beams which the crawler crane will track in and out of to support the weight of the crane. This will be represented by these right here. I will now go on to our 3D model of logistics and phasing of the project, beginning with site work. Here you can see that our fence, utilities, and lighting has been in place and our delivery is ready. Now we have our foundation. Our north tower crane has been mobilized. It is helping shake out rebar, formwork, and with concrete placement. Our phase 3 is where we begin structural. The crawler crane has been mobilized and it is erecting structural steel, and the south tower crane has also been mobilized to assist with the guest room tower. Phase 4, we are continuing on with the structural steel. That crawler crane is tracking backwards as it is building its way up and out. Our south tower crane is continuing to assist the guest room towers. Phase 5 is going to be our final structural steel phase. The crawler crane is tracked all the way back out. It is placing its final steel beams in place. Phase 6, we have now demobilized the crawler crane. It is no longer needed. We are focusing all of our attention onto the guest room tower construction. Phase 7 is where we begin the skin and curtain wall installation. In Phase 8, we are finalizing the last floors and drying in the building completely. The final phase is where we demobilize all of our utilities. Now that I've gone over logistics, I'll pass it along to Jeremiah, and he's going to go over our schedule.
Now we're going to go over the overall project schedule, and we want to hit on our key points for delivering efficiency. The first one being our phase vertical strategy. All throughout the project, through every sequence, this is going to be phased out by floor, so we need to make sure we have key coordination and communication with our trades so they know exactly when to finish and to move on and level up the next floor to let the next sequence of subcontractors in. That goes hand in hand with our SIP's interior sequencing. So we need to figure out when the trades are able to stop and able to start and finish, so then the next subcontractor can come in, as well as utilizing the entire floor, so then we can then close out and get to the next floor. And our third point I want to talk about is our early procurement. Procurement is a huge process that if we don't attack at the beginning of the project, then down the road we could critically impact us. So that's why we're going to track very early in the process and make sure that we have procurement start and progress throughout the project. I'm now going to go through the project schedule of the tower. So the site work and pre-construction is 6 months, and the 3 things we're going to go over is procurement, mobilization, and permitting, as well as our excavations and our deep foundations. The structure is going to be about 12 months long, and that is going to be the key phase to sequencing and driving through the entire project. Skin is going to go in after the first floor of reshoring has been removed, and MEP and finishes are going to be our #1 quality following that, and then we're going to have a 3-month closeout period. Now going to the ballroom, site and pre-construction is going to be the same, because they're going to be working simultaneously with the tower. Structure is going to go up 2/3 of the structure, so it's going to start with 33% of the tower, and it's going to finish with 66% completion of the tower. Skin will go on in the MEP, and then we'll close out simultaneously with the tower. Now we have our 4-phase quality control process, the first one being planning, second is verification, third is control, and 4 is turnover. We've also posed 4 risks for our safety. The first one being crane operations, our second being traffic and pedestrians, our third is fall from elevated areas, and our 4th is our concrete formwork and placement. And if we don't track these and monitor these closely, this could pose a huge risk to our job. I'll now turn off the floor for Ben to close us out.
So you may be asking yourselves, why choose Alta Construction? We see 4 main reasons, those being process, product, proximity, people. Beginning first with process, this is a CM at risk delivery method. 95% of our jobs that we complete are alternative project delivery, so we're very familiar with this method. Second, product. This is a hotel in a dense urban area. Like I mentioned earlier, we've completed $1.6 billion worth of hospitality projects in the past 10 years. So we've got a number of lessons learned to pull from and experience to bring forward to this job. Third, proximity. Given that we have an office here in Salt Lake City, Utah, just 8 minutes down the road, all of our corporate staff has easy access to the job site on a daily basis, which allows us to deliver an exceptional level of quality, both in terms of workmanship and service. Fourth and finally, people. The team that you see in front of you today is the perfect team to deliver this project. We've been working together for 7 years on hospitality jobs and can't wait to deliver another exceptional product. As I close, I'd like to circle back to the quote that I opened with. Our goal is to deliver an exceptional and unparalleled experience. We can't wait to do that with you. Thank you, and with that, I'd like to open the floor to any questions.
Yes, thank you so much. You guys did a great job. I do have a question. So, with your two-team approach, with this being about too many projects, do you have any concerns with different MEP crews and tying in the utilities and potential liabilities or finger pointing during commissioning?
MEP crews are one of the main crews that we're going to not split up in between two trades. So we're going to have continuity of systems between, especially the first 6 floors of the buildings, to make sure they're continuous from one end to the other. To not only help with our schedule and sequencing, but also the commissioning process, as you mentioned.
With the earthquake that happened in Addendum 6, can you explain the first couple steps that you took to secure the site and confirm the safety of any trades that were on site?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the badging system that we have on the job site, we're able to track the location of all of our crew members throughout the building at any given time. They'll all be pinged as soon as the earthquake happens, so they get a notification, and then they can all go to the muster points. Anyone that's not accounted for the muster points, we'll relay out to them, try to get communication with them, and then have first responders respond as well.
So I see that you had mentioned owner contingency in your indirects. Can you walk me through how you see that contingency being used?
Yeah, absolutely. Hector?
Yes, so we've added that 3% contingency in there for any unknowns. These aren't completely done drawings. We're still going to be awaiting some drawings, especially for the interior, as well as it being a pad-ready site. We will still have to excavate, so there are still unknowns in terms of the geotech. So we've added that contingency to use that for that.
Oh, front left over here. Quality is really important to us. Can you talk through your quality control policy and what do you guys see as the most challenging QC hurdle on this project?
Yeah, so our three is interior build out, the structural still phasing. Um, and those two are the main things that we're going to combat with quality assurance first, making sure we can mitigate those risks in the beginning so there won't be bumps down the road, so that we have a clear communication coordination that the subcontractors know what they're getting into exactly, so we can appease the owner as well as have clear communication for a 3-point between the subs, the GC, and the owner.
I've got a question here. Front left. Um, Procurement is also super important to me. Just keep making sure we keep the schedule on track. What's the minimum lead time item that you will track on your procurement?
The minimum is going to be the structural steel because that's going to be a just-in-time delivery. We're going to need those fast, and we're going to be heavily pursuing that, as well as the tower cranes. Those are going to be our first two that we're going to need for our long lead items so that we can successfully get on the critical path and get the structure going to release all the other phases.
Would you track something that was only a 2-week lead time to get?
Sir?
Like if something took 2 weeks to procure, would you track that?
Yes, we would. If it's not that big of an item, but if it is a critical hot item that we need for the critical path, then yes, we will.
Can you walk me through how you would handle a scope gap or incomplete drawings?
Yeah, so along with our project management team, Jackson and I work together. We use Document Crunch in order to review our specs even in further detail. Uh, that was our use of AI. So we use Document Crunch to find those scope gaps in between the specs if we needed to. So if there were anything that either we missed or it's acknowledged we missed, we would use that contingency to fill that in.
I got a question right here in the middle. So being that we're in a highly urban area, and you're gonna have 2 tower cranes, what's your plan to protect those cranes from somebody trying to get onto the job site, say an adrenaline junkie, to try to go up that tower crane?
Yeah, absolutely. So on our logistics plan, you can see that there are the plywood barriers that go up and then they extend out, so you really can't climb up in them at all. We also are going to have 24-hour security on site.
What are you guys planning on doing with 3 interns for 2 years?
In terms of daily responsibilities?
Sure.
So our goal is to get really exposure for interns from the start of the project all the way through completion. So we'll have interns come in from a pre-construction standpoint, have them involved throughout those phases, especially with it being an alternative project delivery. There's a lot to learn in terms of the schedule and negotiations since the contractor's involved so early. But then throughout the project, having interns see different phases, be it project management, field operations, and really just give them exposure to all aspects of the job.
So I see you are self-performing the concrete, which is a pretty large scope. What have you done to ensure that the costs in your proposal are competitive with the local market?
Absolutely. So in the past, we have self-performed several different hotels, especially in winter climates. So we have compared our numbers from previous projects in order to feel that we have accurate numbers for that. Hector, do you have anything to add?
Yes, as well. We've already kind of taken that management fee out of it, so we're sure that by reducing that, we're already competitive in our concrete number, and by self-performing that, we'll have a better control over that cost. So we've already included and taken out a certain percentage of that number out.
I have a hoisting and logistics question. You guys have really thought through logistics well. But as an ownership group, we've talked a lot about not wanting to put a load on our level one structure with the crawler crane, especially because we're going to have some high end tile in there and we don't want the risks of cracking. What would the backup plan be for hoisting the steel? And would it add cost to the job?
If we could not use that crawler crane as our plan, is that your question?
Correct.
The backup plan, we would have to get a very expensive high capacity crane to hoist from a farther location, maybe on the road. And yes, it would definitely increase a significant amount of cost.
Are you carrying any additional fee in your labor rates? I'm looking through your general conditions and you're charging $22,000 a month for a VDC manager over 28 months. That means that person's probably making around $260,000 a year. Is that accurate?
Our VDC, so we already taken into account that our VDC and BIM will be a large, they will be making a lot of money because we will have them on this project for a large amount of time. They'll be using Revit. They'll be using Revit for the majority of the project as we keep going up and up and up to make sure that there are any MEP clashes are avoided. So while we pay them a good amount of money, that money will still be saved in terms of any change orders or clashing throughout the project.
Do you have a need for two?
One of those will be, both of them will be using Revit.
I'm asking if you would hire me.
Oh, yes, we would hire you.
A question over here on the left. We're got about $10 million shortfall on our budget, so we're looking for a contractor that can help us get us there. So I'm curious if you guys have any ideas or thoughts to help us.
Yeah, well, one of the things we see as a potential way to save a lot of money is if we can get the design fully completed and all the drawings, then we'll reduce the amount of contingency given we'll have fewer unknowns. So we can reduce our fee for contingency from 3% to a lower rate, which would save us that difference.
What is the biggest challenge you see on this project and how are you going to mitigate it?
I say our biggest challenge is definitely going to be the interior finishes. With that high quality standard that is wanted by the owner, we have to make sure and uphold any type of quality control that is needed, as well as the structural framing of the steel with that crawler crane that our original plan is. Being able to mitigate the risk and making sure that that load is able to be able to uphold with the crawler crane and how much the structural steel beams and girders weigh, that's probably our biggest challenge. And being able to have that steel beam placement as well as this engineered reshoring is how we're going to combat that.
How do you plan on coordinating the two tower cranes and the crawler crane working together at the same time?
So we have several superintendents on staff. Most of them are broken up into scope specific, but we also have a couple general supers. So we plan on having the general super coordinate with the 3 crane operators and have him every morning set a meeting with them to discuss all logistics. And as I mentioned too, the 2 tower cranes are set at different heights and distances, so they won't ever interfere. The biggest issue is just the crawler crane and making sure he knows where he's swinging.
Over here, project closeout has been an issue for us in the past. Can you please walk me through your closeout process and how you plan to get through all the punch list items efficiently?
Absolutely. So building off of our SIP schedule, we're going to be closing out and doing punch out floor by floor. That way we're not waiting till the end to do punch work and close out throughout the entirety of the building, given it's such a large space. So by breaking it up by floor And then by the general areas in the lobby, we're able to reduce the amount of time at the end of the project for punch and closeout.
Okay. If you could give your safety person one superpower, what would you give them?
It's got to be X-ray vision, so we can see through everything and know that everyone's safe, even if you can't directly see them.
Hey, what do you guys plan to accomplish in the first 4 to 6 weeks after being awarded the contract?
Absolutely. So in the first 4 to 6 weeks, really that first month and a half of having received the job, we're going to work on getting signed all of our earliest scopes that are going to be performing as well as any of our long lead items. So that way we're setting ourselves up and reducing some of those items that will push our schedule further back down the road. So making sure that we can have our excavation crews ready, concrete, structural steel, as well as any of our MEP long lead items. We'll issue a limited authorization to proceed on those scopes so they can get rolling forward more quickly.
Front left over here. So we've heard there's been some quality control issues with the facade panels specified. Have you guys heard about that, and how are you gonna mitigate any issues with those?
So building off of our quality control process, we're gonna have 4 steps like Jeremiah mentioned earlier. Before any of our steps that we perform as Alta, we have all of our manufacturers review and send us detailed information regarding their products. We also go and visit the plant for these curtain wall facades as well to make sure they're meeting our standards and they fit within our as-built system.
So I have a question specific for Jackson. So you said that you would have Denzel Washington play you in a movie. Can you tell me what similarities you have with Denzel?
He's a great actor, so I think that he could really encompass whatever my personality is. Similar qualities, though. Man, he's really cool. So I hope that I could be as cool as him.
I got a question regarding your schedule. So you guys have pile testing about halfway through your pile installation, which is pretty risky to start testing when you've drilled half your piles already. Could you explain the logic behind that?
So the reason we're doing it at that point, we've got several different times at which we're testing. The reason we're doing it at that point is so we can core into something that's already cured and is set up to make sure it's meeting the standards and strength that is needed to support the building.
I've got another scheduled question. Our partners at the NBA would like a dry run about a month before the players show up. Do you think that's something we can accommodate for them?
Absolutely. So currently we have our project final completion at July 25th, 2028. That gives us 7 months in between then and the players arriving. So we've got ample time to get that dry run in place.
How do you handle a subcontractor that's not performing, like falling behind schedule?
So we implemented liquidated damages. So we know that we have a strict schedule for the interior build out. So if they're not performing on time and holding all the other subcontractors up, then they're going to have to pay for that with liquidated damages to do a penal payment system.
Same question for subcontractors who are not performing up to your safety standard.
They will also be penalized for not holding. They'll have a strike system, and if they keep breaking it, then they'll have to be paid. Eventually, we'll have to do temporary suspensions, and then they'll have to leave depending on if it was a specific person or as a whole. We might have to replace someone, which would entail they'd have to pay us for that.
What if it's the drilling foreman that the company relies on to get the job done on schedule?
Well, as the GC, we rely on them that they would be a competent person that'd be able to get it built. So they'd have to be able to find a replacement. Hopefully they have the crew that they have. They'll be able to have someone to fill in for that position.
Would you be worried that those penalties would deter interested bidders and reduce the overall bidder pool for the project if they're too extreme for most subcontractors to want to take on that risk?
No, because we've done so much work in the hotel business in the Southwest area that we are able to find out the right people, and we have good relations with them from past experiences in the Southwest region. So they already built that connection that they trust, that we know that, and they know they can put it in and install it.
We have time for one more question.
Okay, great. Oh, am I good? Okay. Great presentation. We are interviewing 9 construction firms for this project. So why should we choose you to build it?
There are really a number of reasons. Like I mentioned at the end, process, product, proximity, and people. But outside of that, it's really important to work with a group that's cohesive and wants to work with y'all as the owner. So we want to work hand in hand with y'all throughout this entire process. We're not going to be separating ourselves as a contractor from y'all. We're going to be hand in hand, tandem with y'all throughout the entire process from pre-construction all the way through the end of our warranty.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.